VGC is supported by Patreon. Check out patreon.com/videogameschronicle for more podcasts, ad-free browsing, and extra content. Thank you for your support. You could call me Miss Paramore. It's VGC the Video Game Podcast, episode 147, with me, Jordan Midler, Chris Scullion, Andy Robinson, and permanent menace Chris Dring. This week, somehow, the Steam Machine returned. But first, how's it going, folks? Chris Dring, the fourth Beatle, how are you?
I'm all right, yeah. I got to speak to Reggie this week.
Who?
Was, Reg, he used to be a guy that said things that made people laugh at E3 conferences. E3 used to be an event that people used to announce games at. Games are things that used to come out quite often.
Not 12 hours ago, we watched about an hour's worth of Reggie's stand-up from 2010's E3 extravaganza. And let me tell you, a lot of time spent calling out the liars and the haters of the video game media.
That's my favourite part of old E3 press conferences, where they're like, but first, our competitors say this.
I totally forgot that bit. You can watch the full thing on our Patreon, but there's a point where Reggie comes out and just out of nowhere, that halfway through announcing all the games, he just goes, by the way, a lot of people say Nintendo is doomed and we're not selling as much. Here's, take this price, and then just basically saying...
But he used to go even further than that. Like, you go watch the proper old school ones, they'd be like, please welcome head of VP of Sales and Marketing, Peter Main. And then they'd play some hip-hop. Well, he came out in a suit that's too big, and he'd be like, in the fourth quarter, the Nintendo DS surpassed all
because
units.
Because E3 is a business event.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
That's amazing.
Later this year, we're going to have some more PlayStation 2 titles added to the classics library, and here's some more Gran Turismo. Oh, thanks, guys. Yes, that was great fun. That'll go on our Patreon very soon, patreon.com/videogameschronicle, featuring Chris Scullion. How you doing?
Hello, I'm good. Had my first attempt at shaving my own head, and I'm quite happy with the results.
I think you've done a good job, mate.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. I had to obviously get the wife to help with the back, because...
Write your own jokes.
Put your own punchline in there, but I know, but I'm happy enough with the results. So
I think you've done a good job.
Almost uniformly, when I shave my buns, there is a cranial shelf, like right where my skull meets my spine, and that always just has a little backwards mustache on it.
A wee tuft.
Yeah, which is always embarrassing. For Laura, not for me. I don't care. I can't see my own head. Andy Robinson, when are you shaving your head so we become like the Hare Krishna podcast?
I'm thinking about going back to the slick back barnet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might do that. This is a real ADHD thing. Just getting bored and doing something new. So I probably will end up with a skinhead at some point.
I saw
the hardest looking podcast.
Yeah, we're always hard at VGC. I saw a clip of one Danny Dyer on his daughter podcast the other day, and he's got
they've got the same name. So which one?
Old one. The
him. Yeah, he's got that haircut, hasn't he?
Big old slick, big tash.
It's easy as well. It's easy. Just brush it back, sorted.
Yeah.
Done.
I mean, I do literally nothing with my hair. So
I saw a picture of you. I watched an old podcast of ours, and it was like only like 3 years ago. You look 10 years younger, Chris.
Yeah.
That's what happens. That's what happens when you're kids and running a business. Same with me. I probably look 10 years younger. But I was like, who is this young man?
Yeah.
Well,
my dad went grey at the age of like 24, and I started to go grey at much 35. And I wonder what the difference was. Why did it take so longer? And it's because my dad had kids when he was 24, and I didn't have kids until I was 35.
Yeah. But that's a real thing, isn't it? That's a real like conspiracy / phenomena where they say that young people used to look way older than they do now. There's like pictures like 20-year-olds that look 50. I mean, part of that is like, my dad was talking about this the other day, actually, how they couldn't do much about their appearance. Like, it's not they had like fake eyelashes or hair dye and, things like that, right? It's just what you got was what you got.
Plus, they all worked in the pits.
Yeah.
So
worked down pits. They weren't, Chris Dring works down the video game business pit, so show a bit of respect. I need to keep an eye out, because I've got shooting white hairs like on the old soul patch here that I have to chop off to maintain my youthful exuberance.
I'm finally getting wee hints of grace. It's finally
great,
starting,
shit.
but it's going to take a wee while.
Yeah, but Scullion, you look like a grown-up wee boy. Like when you've got your hair long, you look like you could be like 25 or something like that. One day it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks, and you're going to.
I feel like that'd be a
go-
really top-tier Halloween costume for Chris if he dressed up like as a schoolboy, with the shorts.
It would look like
Little
Angus Young for
little
ACDC.
propeller hat.
Well, if you want to see Chris Scullion dress up, you can do that on patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle, just like our season ticket holders do. Our season ticket holder of the week, Bill Bob Saggins, which I don't think is his Christian name, but Chris, he was at E3 10 years ago, and he was responsible for the Nintendo Wii not working. Scullion, you got some background on how he was punished by Miyamoto?
Well, let's just say it involved numerous lashes to various parts of his body. I can never actually pronounce his name. I believe it's Bilbo Bagsaggin.
Bill Bob Bagsaggin. I'm a professional
Bilbo
reader of
Bagsaggin.
things and saying of things, so I'll say Bill Bob Saggins. That'll do.
That's fine. I'll not argue with you. But yeah, like I said, numerous lashes to the back, sack and crack, and that's why Miyamoto has never presented on stage again. Not because Skyward Sword didn't work, but because he still has flashbacks of the abuse that he gave Bill Bob Saggin.
That's why he's been relegated to making absolutely pish films, but we'll talk about that later on. Story number 1. Valve announces a new Steam console controller and VR headset. We're just focusing on the console today. Valve says it plans to ship all these products in 2026 with specific launch timing and pricing to be confirmed later. We've been super happy with the success of Steam Deck, said Gabe Newell, president of Valve, and PC gamers have continued asking for even more ways to play all the great titles in their Steam libraries. Our work over the years on other hardware, and even more importantly, Steam OS, has enabled the Steam controller, Steam Machine, and Steam Frame to do just that. The Steam Machine is an ugly, editorializing, 6-inch console-like cube with, quote, over 6 times the horsepower of the Steam Deck, which is designed to allow PC games to be played on the telly. Chris Dring, this was floating about. Some real pretenders to being insiders are going, I think Valve's doing something. But what's the rub here? What are we looking like price-wise? Where does this fall in the market? Give us the business spin.
I heard about this before it was announced. I actually recorded my
Real insider
show this week. Well, I think it got leaked to me from some media people.
Half the US games media were sent to Valve to play it, so I'm not entirely surprised that it didn't stay a massive secret.
Don't get me wrong. I think I was special treatment, but the Steam Deck is sold. Its sales are between 4 and 5 million units, according to best estimates. It's not a big. Switch is on 155 million. It's not the biggest thing in the world. Why it matters is that the people that bought the Steam Deck are the people that spend the most amount of time playing games and therefore the most amount of money playing games. So although it's only 4 or 5 million people, it's 4 or 5 million of the most active, most engaged, highest spending people. So it's a very lucrative, albeit small audience. And my assumption is the Steam Machine is basically aiming to be the same thing. It's for people that have gaming PCs, have access to a Steam library. They want to take that into a living room. But my head, there's a few things here. Most of those people who are the highest spending people, I have to imagine they've got a games console already under the TV. So we're talking about them bringing and buying another games PC to put next to games consoles they already own. I think that's even harder sell than the Steam Deck. I think there's lots of people that are interested. I can see there's lots of people who are interested. I can see it in the buzz around it. So my instant reaction was I think this is potentially like the Steam Deck audience, but smaller. There is another group of people, of which I'm actually part of, people that have always been interested in PC gaming, but they've been put off by it because of its complication or whatever. And this is an entry-level point to that. And it could well be, but again, I think I think they've got the consoles already. They probably already, they've got probably a backlog of games. I think when it comes down to actually buying it, is there a big enough? There will be some people, but is it a huge audience? I don't think Valve will be expecting a huge audience. I think if they did, we'd probably be looking at a very competitive price point, and we might still be. I think we'd be looking at wider retail distributions. They're not just putting it on their own store, and I think they'd have to market it quite hard. All of that's going to be really expensive. They could go for it, and it'd be interesting because the PC space is ripe for a bit of meddling with, a little bit of a new player, I think it'd be quite interesting. But knowing Valve and knowing what they do, and it's all about expanding Steam. Even if the Steam machine brings in a small number of new Steam users, but basically gets another small number of Steam users to play their games more, I think that's kind of what its job is. But it looks interesting. I don't know. If it had a handle, I think it'd be a lot better.
If it was Spice Orange, perchance. If it was purple. Chris Dring, 600 Great British Pounds, higher or lower? Higher or lower? 600 Great British Pounds. Lower. Okay, now. Well, what's a PlayStation 5 these days? $3,000? What are we talking for actual consoles?
Good point. How much is a PS5 in the UK?
Go to Smith's. It's the only business in the world still selling consoles.
480, is that it?
480, Jesus Christ.
Pounds?
I don't know.
Oh, you guessing? I thought you were reading it.
It's 400 for the normal PlayStation 5 console with a disc drive.
Is it really 480 quid? Jesus Christ, that's brutal.
No. What? All of us Google.
That solves that. No.
Everyone checking the same website. 480 quid? Jesus, every time, I see the people
we're just speechless.
I see the people in the VGC Discord all the time. It's so expensive.
Games journalists discover how much things cost.
Yeah, let them eat cake. Let them eat Astro Boy. Yeah, that's mental. Although I'm pretty sure that the PlayStation 5 Pro is like 5 pence off at the minute. So if you really want to get the total experience,
that's £700.
It's $689.99. Thank you. Don't spread false information about the PlayStation 5 Pro. Yeah, that's quite expensive. So I'm expecting about 600. Chris Scullion, you as soon as this was announced, you started spitting at the screen. You hate it that much. What's your problem?
I wouldn't go that far. I would. Well, I just don't. I'm kind of in a similar boat to Chris that I'm not massively sure where the big sales are going to come from, because I think most people who are these hardcore of the hardcore PC gamers that Chris is talking about, I think a lot of them have spent a lot of time getting their Wii games, getting their PC kind of corner all set up and nice, and they're happy there. They're happy playing their PC games there. I don't think many of them are massively desperate to sit on the couch with their family and start playing PC games. I think some of them. I mean, I'm biased here in that my telly's right behind me, so if I ever want to play PC games on my TV, it's one cable and job done. So it's not for me. I think the relative lack of power. I think Digital Foundry was saying it's between Series S and PS5, but closer to PS5. So you're talking slightly less powerful than a PS5 if they're accurate. I think one of the main selling points of PC games is that you can go more powerful than the consoles. I'm not sure how many of these hardcore PC gamers who probably have the highest spec rigs are going to willingly take a step down in power to be able to play it on.
I think some of it now though, but in the as a device that's like a kind of like supplementary to your PC, it's the appeal is that you've got all your games on Steam, right? It's kind of what Steam Deck is. That, oh my god, like I've got all of my existing library that I can bring in. But I agree. I think the hyperbole about this thing changing the landscape is a bit OTT right now. The Steam Deck. I mean, Nintendo Switch 2 is already like doubled the sales of Steam Deck, in more than doubled the sales in what, 3 months, 4 months. Clearly like the role of that device for Valve is, and this is what everyone's trying to do, is that if you can give people more time in the day to be able to access their games, then they will, in theory, they'll spend more money, right? If they can play them on the bus, etc. That's why you kind of make a portable console. It doesn't have to sell loads. It means your 4 or 5 million biggest spenders are now probably going to spend more. So that's good. I totally agree with Chris. Like the thing limiting this is going to be the price, but mainly that they're not going to put it in other stores. And they're probably not going to retail it, because a Steam Deck, they've really just sort of like stuck a website post up and sell it through their website, right? If they really wanted to go for it. And they're not skint, they are absolutely minted. Steam prints money.
Have you seen Gabe's boat? He's got about 10 of them.
Steve, yes, he's got
Doesn't
a
he own
load
the
of
company
yachts.
now?
So I can't see them doing that. So the talk of like the thing that I found amusing was the talk about how like, well, PlayStation are definitely going to put all of their games on PC day and date now because of the Steam Deck. If anything, if this thing took off, you say they did all of that and it took off. If anything, it'd have Sony questioning whether they put their games on Steam at all.
So actually, this is because I'm being hyperbolic. I don't think it's probably going to do well enough for it to be a concern. But I am if it does do well, if I was PlayStation, I would stop putting at least my single player games on Steam. I would just stop doing it because or even on PC generally, because now you've got something competing for you in the living room. And also, even if it does sell to a small number of people that already have PlayStations and PCs, that's another thing that's going to stop them playing PlayStation. I think that is something that I would be very worried about if I was Sony, and Sony could do that. The other thing is then you start getting into a realm of, if you're actually treating Steam as a console as well as a PC, you might get back into the sort of world of exclusives again, right? Where suddenly naturally, no, we want to have this content because we want to drive sales of PS5. We don't want people to go to Steam, and that's like, we've just got out of that.
Chris Dring is calling for a new console war, ladies and gentlemen. He wants to bring it back.
It is the ecosystem war, right? We're in a space now where it's about the Xbox ecosystem, the PlayStation ecosystem, and the Steam ecosystem. And Steam are going up against. It's more of a concern for Xbox, this, by the way, than PlayStation. But they're going in to say, how can we get involved? How can we take some of that ecosystem and all that kind of stuff? It's an evolution of the console war, and it involves Valve.
I was actually going to ask that, Dringo. It's been 18 minutes now in this recording, so it's time for Xbox to get a kick in. Are they worried about this? Or because this seems like if this is Xbox's plan, obviously Xbox's thing will be significantly more powerful than this. So are they still got a home in the living room of not just Chris Scullion?
Yeah, I think for starters, it's worth noting that I think it's a little easier if you've got an audience of living room based gamers to speak to them directly and go, hey, here's the next thing, than it is for someone like Valve who are having to try and speak to a different audience. I think it's easier for Xbox to do that. I also think that Xbox's strategy isn't about hardware. If it was, they wouldn't be putting their games on PlayStation. So if the Steam machine does well, in theory, that's good for Xbox because it's more people they can sell Call of Duty to and all that kind of. Actually, I don't know if Call of Duty runs on it, but anyway, it's sort of more people they can run. They can sell certain games to. It potentially widens the audience. So literally, the Steam machine is an Xbox in the minds of Microsoft. But obviously, look, what we don't talk about is that if Xbox sells a game via Steam, they have to give 30% of that revenue to Steam, and same with PlayStation, same with Nintendo. If they sell a game via the Xbox Store or the Windows Store, they get that money, and so they want people on a Windows device. They will want people on their own stores, and this is Valve getting out ahead of Xbox with its own PC console hybrid. So in that sense, it will be frustrating for them, but I think their priority is selling more software, and I think ultimately I don't think either PlayStation or Xbox are losing too much sleep over it. Perhaps they'll be mindful of it though.
I also think they're two very different potential. Obviously, we still don't know what Xbox has got here, but they keep talking about how it's going to borrow a lot of the ideas of the ROG Ally, and I think that means the whole point is that the next Xbox. The thing is, for all we say about the Steam machine being a PC console hybrid, it's not really. It just runs Steam, and they say you can put your own operating system on it, but that would involve uninstalling SteamOS, which kind of is one of the driving points of this thing. Is that SteamOS is really streamlined and designed to make games perform really well. So theoretically, yeah, you could uninstall that and put Windows in it and turn it into a Windows box, but then you're going to get lower performance out of your games because Windows doesn't run games as well as SteamOS, as I understand it. This next Xbox console, as the reports and rumours claim, will run your Xbox Store and Steam and GOG and Epic Game Store and stuff like that. So they're delivering two kind of different things, but obviously then your Xbox is going to cost an absolute fortune compared to this thing. So it's apples and oranges. I think the only thing I would disagree with is people saying that obviously all the hyperbole, as they say, came out right after this was announced. People saying this is the Xbox killer. I think the only Xbox killer
Phil Spencer
Xbox just now because they're the ones that are most likely to.
We don't need anyone else to kill our platform. Thank you very much.
give me that axe.
We're standing on top of the cliff. We're sorting this out. I don't know. I also, if I was Xbox, I'd be watching the Steam machine and learning from it. it's a good chance for them to actually go, are we doing the right thing? Are we taking the right strategy? There's an element of the fact there's a lot of Xbox backwards compatible games. How's that going to work? There's so many things I don't quite know what they're going to do with their next machine that makes one, and also in an age where streaming is getting better and better and better, if you've got a gaming PC and you want to game in the living room, it wouldn't be better to create an app for TVs or something, or even just a dongle that allows you to, I know the Steam Link, I think someone created that in 2015, the ability to just stream that stuff. I had
that. It was awful.
But
I did too.
Well, this is the thing. It happened. It's worth noting that Valve did this before. They did the Steam machines before. They didn't do it as well. The execution wasn't as great. And I think it sold, my best estimate is about 300,000 of them sold. And so, but obviously that was 2015. The size of Steam was the 10th of what it is now. So it was different.
It was a different initiative then, wasn't it? It was kind of like, it was like it was almost like a
3DO,
branding.
it was a 3DO model.
I'm trying to think of a comparison where you could qualify as a Steam machine, right? If you had certain parameters.
Use valves.
It's the same way everything's a bloody Xbox right now, right?
It wasn't.
Whereas this is a actual singular product. People can design games for it, like they do with Steam Deck, and it's going to run on this. And it's certified.
It was a 3DO. It was a 3DO model of like we'll give you the specs and you make the machines and we'll just focus on the games. And,
it was not. It wasn't. The execution wasn't anywhere near as compelling. But I guess at the time, I remember us all getting very excited about Steam entering the living room and taking on PlayStation and Xbox, and it didn't really manifest then either.
When's Ouya coming back, Dringo?
On
tomorrow.
Live.
That's tomorrow.
On the game business.
It's on Live is owned by PlayStation now, as is Gaikai.
Gaikai, yeah.
You can't mention On Live twice in a week.
We were talking about that last night on the Patreon. Yeah, On Live. I'm sure that there was some sort of merger there, wasn't there? I'm sure the early kind of seeds of On Live.
So Jordan, you don't think it's a very good looking console?
No, I think it looks mince. I like that it has faceplates. That's exciting, and the prospect of people like 3D printing their own. But I want consoles to look as ugly as possible. Like I love how ugly the PlayStations look. I loved how ugly the GameCube is an ugly looking console. Like I don't want my consoles to be boring slabs of black plastic. Like come on now.
I always like to believe, like in 20 nostalgia's a lot quicker these days, but like in 20 years later, all of those old consoles become like key rings and like little bit.
Andy's got about 90 of them.
I can never imagine the PS4 ever being a keyring. It's so boring looking, or an Xbox One, and that's why that's why I like.
That's just like it's just the popular culture cycling, right? Nostalgia comes around for everything. It does.
Well, with the Xbox One, people would be like, "What is this?"
I was going to say, it's literally my next thing. It's going to be real Xbox One nostalgia. But
it's just a black slab, right? It's not like
I think you'll find it's got a grill on it.
It's the heaviest console ever made. That original Xbox One, unbelievable.
Nah, man, I had to carry the OG PS3 home from Central. I still legitimately I still measure weight, like in my understanding of how heavy something is based on how heavy a PS3 is. OG, I think it's 6 kg.
The original Xbox One, like it's a weird looking console for a lot of reasons, but for me, the things went wrong when they decided to have that capacitive button at the front of it, because it would just any dog that went past, any other human being that went past, there's your Xbox off, fantastic. We ding, and then Titanfall fades away from the screen because of the capacitive button. Oh man, Xbox, what a time!
I once went to an event with Phil Harrison was there, and it was with the Xbox One designers, and it was all about they weren't the designers of the hardware, they designed how it looked. And they like paraded them around, and I'm like, it's a black box. Yeah. I can't.
I've just got a controller behind me.
Yeah, somewhere. It's the same event. Yeah,
was it the same event? Was it?
Yeah, I got it signed.
That one there. That's because they gave them to us, didn't they? Like signed by the guy who designed the controller.
Bizarre. Which is just another Xbox controller. I'm not being dismissive.
But the thing is, when I can't remember. Did you? No, I suppose were you at Redmond when they in the Xbox 10 when they announced it?
No, I don't think. No, I wasn't.
They gave us a demo of the controller afterwards, and it was super impressive. Like it had HD rumble and stuff like that back then, but none of the games used it.
You held it up to your ear, and you could hear how many ice cubes were in it. It was revolutionary.
Listen,
they had like a bunch of demos where you could feel the like the bumps in the road in a car game, things like that, and your gun, kind of you could feel the rumble kind of come from the trigger outwards, and then they just didn't really use it like everything.
Here's a sideways just on that. So 5 years of the PS5, and I put out something on Blue Sky about it, and someone quote tweeted it being like, I remember when the PS5 came out, and I thought, every single game's going to use these amazing haptics and triggers, and then barely any did. My prediction is, if loads of games did use that, people would be moaning about it by now, and they would just be like, I turn that stuff off, I don't bother with all that stuff. It's novel because you get it in like one big first-party Sony game a year, and then you don't have to think about it. Like, I turn it off in FIFA, I turn it off in any sports game where it's like, I'm not trying to break my finger here.
I don't know. I don't play many PS5 games, but once I do, always seem to use it to some degree. Whether it's probably not the.
I think it's mainly because exclusives to it. Like this has been the case ever since like the PS2 days, when the PS2 face buttons had pressure sensitivity.
Come on now.
And then games never used them because
I find as an aside note, I find people who turn stuff off in games to be better at them really tedious.
It's not to agree with that.
So imagine you go to cinema, right? Turn the audio off. Just put subtitles on, so it's much easier to follow.
I would love that. Turn the film off.
Could you turn the CGI off, please, so I can follow the characters more clearly?
But like obviously, but when it comes to third party
black
games,
and white,
people are like they just want uniform like controls across all three systems. So anytime a system goes, well, here's something different, most third party devs are like, yeah, we're not.
But that's the thing I've got with consoles. That's the problem I've got with the future of consoles. The reason why Steam Machine might even work is because what made consoles interesting was that they would be different. And now they are all everything, everyone wants multi-platform.
Now they're
parity.
the same. Yeah.
So it's like the reason why I actually think the PS5 is the most interesting console out there outside of Nintendo's. That is the most interesting one, is the fact that it has a controller that does something a little bit different than anything else. And the
totally
fact that and that is and even then that's relatively minor. It's not that interesting.
And this will be my old man story, right? I'm sure I've already said it multiple times on this podcast, but I remember being in that Redmond trip, the disastrous Xbox One reveal, where with the DRM and everything else and the always online and the comms was atrocious. I remember sitting in the departure lounge in Seattle, whatever Seattle's airport is, with John Hicks, who was editing the OXM at the time, and talking about, because obviously PS5 had been unveiled in February and this was in May, and then you had E3 coming up. And I remember saying that, like saying, I hope they don't, because you could see it coming by that. I think after 2 weeks later, they'd already removed the mandatory Connect and the always online, like the DRM stuff. And I remember saying to him then that by doing that, they've just made a shitter PS4. Like that's what Xbox One became. At the time, it was like, well, PS4, they were playing it very safe. Like the PS4 was because they were very, very developer friendly. Obviously, the price point helped, etc., etc. But the Xbox One was doing genuinely interesting, new things.
Trying to do something different.
And they stripped that away. And I think it was a mistake. I mean, easy in hindsight, but
I am, I want VMU memory cards and weird handles on my game console.
Oh, die on this hill. The Connect 2 was good.
Yeah,
and they were just so poor at communicating the benefits of those policies. Right, it was kids on forums shouting about used games and DRM and all the rest of it.
Remember used games,
and they but they confirm it, but they wouldn't show you the benefit because the whole point. And it's a lot of these things we just count as standard now. But it was like, yeah, you can't buy used games. However, you can share your games with anyone. I mean, like it's a Switch 2 headline feature, right? That you can, or you can lend your digital games to people. But that was going to be Xbox One at launch. But because of how poorly they communicated it, they never showed that. Do you know what I mean? Like PlayStation were doing these guerrilla videos for handing the game over. Look, loaning our game. They should have been doing that. Well, here's how we loan our games. Here you go. I press a button. You've got all my games. Like it's always online. Oh no, what about the guys on the submarines? Instead of going, here's the biggest game launch game. Here's the biggest launch game out of both consoles, Titanfall, right? All of the enemies and stuff were powered by Azure, by the cloud, right? Like it was this game is only possible the cloud. They never said that. They didn't go, here's Titanfall. They were going, oh, here's the Halo TV series.
I wrote an opinion piece during that E3 shortly after the Xbox One reveal, so the second time that it was shown to the press. And I actually went and I played all the PS4 games, and I loaded the PS4 games and loaded the Xbox One games. I felt the Xbox One games were more interesting. I thought Rise was more interesting. Okay, it wasn't as good in the end, but I thought they were more interesting, those games. And I actually wrote an
I
opinion.
don't know. I don't know why you're saying that, mate. I hear people talk fondly all the time of Killzone Shadowfall.
That's what I mean.
There was one game on the PS4 launch that was better than anything on the Xbox One launch by about 40 million miles, and it's called Resogun. Thank you very much.
Well, but I genuinely, and I actually wrote a piece at the time saying, if you forget about all the other noisy stuff, which really don't matter that much, and get down to what actually matters, which is the games, I thought Xbox had a stronger showing. And PS4 eventually did, beat Xbox in that front. But yeah, I felt I'm the same with you, Andy, in a way. I just felt it was, in a way, I felt the Nintendo Switch 2, and they just ignored it. There was a lot of anger around Switch 2, around all the pricing and stuff. And Nintendo actually, Nintendo probably felt, actually, if you factor in what you get with Switch Online 2 and the upgrades we're doing to games and the fact that there's a Mario Kart bundle, the actual value is quite good and we're actually doing quite well. And the way we let you share games, it's really interesting. I felt they did a bad job of communicating that because it got overwhelmed by your games will cost $80 and all this kind of stuff. So if you want to get all the Zelda stuff, it's going to cost you $90. And Nintendo just went, I'm not changing. We're changing shit. we're going to double down.
Stuck to it.
For the audio listeners, earlier on the segment, Chris Dring said that the PlayStation 5 is the most interesting console, and then you could see his body being possessed by the history of Nintendo to snap his synapses back into place. but the Switch 2, I have a quiz for the three of you before we move on to the Mario movie. on the anniversary of the PlayStation 5, it's not the anniversary, but who cares? There was a third-party launch game.
It is, isn't it?
Not quite. It's the 19th in the UK and the 12th in the US, and it's currently the 14th. So there is a third-party launch game that I will be shocked if any of you can remember the name of, right? Third-party launch
PS5?
game on PlayStation
PS4.
5. No, PlayStation 5.
PS5?
Yes, PlayStation 5.
To PS5 now.
Yeah, because it was published by Gearbox. It was developed by Counterplay Games. Anyone? A big...
Oh, yeah. The name's...
the most forgettable name of all time.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, because people were talking about it, and you played with it. Did you have, a shield and a sword? And,
there's a man on the box with a sword and a shield.
And it's like a name they got from ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It's called, Dagger Rise.
I do remember
Shield Clash.
Oh, what was it called? I do remember it because that was the only one. That was the only game.
It was released on it got 61 on Metacritic. It's sitting in the third party lineup for PS5 was alright because it was all.
So was it a PS5 exclusive? Was it a PS5?
It launched as only on PS5 on consoles, and then it came.
So there wasn't a PS4 version.
There was eventually a PS4 version a year later, presumably because
Godfall.
Godfall,
that was it.
So
I have nothing. I know knowledge about that game.
That's the random name generator, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, the new Luminous game is you can pick a name and you've got you can put set words together.
Godfall.
That's like that. I bet I could call myself Godfall.
Yeah.
I just remember my thing was and it's the same. I did the same with. It's what are the games on PS5 that you can't get on previous generation consoles? That's the only reason why I remember.
Oh yeah,
that game at all.
Big up Godfall, and we're actually going to start a new Patreon series where we play through Godfall. So look out for that at the director's tier.
It's called God Help Us.
Yeah, that's good.
My brother developed. He was the AI programmer on Sackboy: A Big Adventure, which was a PS5 launch.
That was a good game.
That is an underrated little game. Yeah,
it won multiple BAFTAs, and I always say my BAFTA award-winning brother. But it was but it kind of got buried under Demon's Souls and Spider-Man and Astrobot. Actually,
I've heard of them. Astro's played them. Demon's Souls was a mental launch game because it was you loaded it up and you're like, okay, graphics now we're talking about, and then it did the little. It was one of the first games that had the super fast load because it was basically just the PS3 game underneath it, so it wasn't that difficult.
Is that the super fast load that's only possible on a PS5? And
you keep bringing this up, but it's not even remotely the same on PC. This is the biggest lie that gets told on this podcast all the time. It is not as fast as it is on PlayStation, so obviously you can do things slower with less hardware.
If you buy a faster SSD,
if you buy hardware that's more expensive than the PlayStation 5, it's faster. Yeah, amazing point.
But, no, but that's not the point. But the point being made at the time was that it was only possible
at the time. Yeah, show me hardware from the time that could do it. that
Yeah,
wasn't.
I don't. Sorry, I'm
just-
with
I'm
Jordan
just
on that. No PC hardware was doing that at the time.
Just get the keys to my DeLorean.
PCs are creaky and crap. Like you'll find one that does that, yeah, and then in a week it's got too many Word docs on it, and it's bloody.
Oh, my
like, not working
$3,000
for some
PC
reason.
can run Ratchet and Clank 3 years
Well,
after
we
it came out on
asterisk- when they're
PS5.
promoting Ratchet and Clank, you put a wee asterisk and say Word docs notwithstanding.
Oh, sorry. Should they put asterisks
So
on
is
all
your
software? Be like,
is your
in
point
the
that it's
future, something
possible
will be
somewhere in the
stronger.
world?
No, my point is that they pulled out their arse that only the PS5 was capable.
At
of-
the time,
of
only the
doing that
PS5
game,
was
which was then
capable.
released on PC not too long after it.
I think we're looking quite a lot of detail into the words of marketing for games consoles.
Sorry, I'm
It's
just
a
doing a
scam.
quick. I'm doing a quick Wikipedia here. The
Oh,
Ratchet
well,
and Clank
because it
came out.
like a year later.
It came out 2 years after, and there's quite a lot
Oh,
of
well, I beg your pardon. We all know how big of a generational leap you can have in 2 years.
on PC. Yeah, you actually can quite easily.
It's slowing down. It's slowing down. I'm not getting this.
It
It's
was.
a
I mean,
fine
it was.
point.
I mean, I don't really know if this is still the case, but I know that in the past, the idea is that game consoles did things first, and then it sort of made its way to PC. So
Yeah.
I always assumed that's still the case in a way.
Consoles on
I-
top,
I
PCs
can-
are for absolute nerds. Speaking of for absolute nerds, Nintendo's revealed the first trailer for the Super Mario Galaxy movie. I don't want to talk about this too long because the film will end up being absolute mince. But I think Brie Larson's very good casting. She's a genuine big Nintendo fan, so that's nice. Benny Safdie being Bowser Jr. is very, very funny. He looks like he's made of Play-Doh. Chris Dring, I saw on Blue Sky, you've watched this trailer with your family 6 million times. What's the impression?
And that's not. I think that's understating the number now. My son is just got into Mario. He's massive Mario obsessive. I've also watched the Mario movie loads of times. And you know
Wonder
what?
That happens.
It's a legitimately good film. I don't.
No, it's
it's
not a legitimate good
it is.
film.
It's a legitimate
It is.
I
can't go for this.
I like Nintendo a little bit. It's not a great movie.
I
enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot. It's objectively not a great movie.
I think objectively it is. A good
It's like
film.
Minions.
but,
Agreed.
but
Agreed.
but it's not the best. It's not some of the Pixar at its best. No, but it's a good film. I've
So you're
watched
saying
loads of
it's
times. I
not a
love
good
it.
movie,
No,
but it's got great characters. that
it's
they
not
didn't
a good
make.
movie. It's
great
not
music that
Schindler's
they didn't
List,
make.
but it's good.
It's not Schindler's List, but it's a perfectly
That's what
good.
people say about shit movies. Well, it's not Schindler's List. No,
There is a
it's
middle
shit.
ground.
It's
There's
not
a
the
middle
fact
ground
that
between
it's
the shit.
There's Schindler's List here, there's Geely here, and then the Mario movie's like maybe 65-70% up the way up the ladder.
What needs Schindler's List?
It's closer to Schindler's List than
Oscar.
it is to Geely. Everyone famously says that the Mario movie is closer to Schindler's List than it is to Geely.
If you took all the Mario slop out
the
of that,
bottom
no
line
one
is
would
you
watch
can
it.
enjoy stuff that's
It
not
is-
very
it
well
is-
made.
it is the-
Like,
the
it is-
thing- the
I
thing that-
really enjoy it, and I've seen it probably 10 times, and my kids love it. But it's not a great movie.
It
Like,
is
and,
one of
it's
the
not- and I
thing-
don't, and I hate that. I don't think that's fair to say. Like, it kind of like cheapens the perceived value of like kids films or animated films when it's like, well, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Pixar make amazing animated films, and this is nowhere near as good as that.
I'm not saying, but I'm just saying there's a. Basically, we seem to be saying it's Pixar or shit. Mario's in the
Right,
middle.
what happens?
It's like it's.
Dringo,
one of my
what
favourite
happens in
game
the
shows.
Mario movie? Tell me the plot. What happens?
This is the thing I was about to get to. What's really fascinating about the Mario movie,
spoil
there's
it.
a lot of interesting stuff they sort of play down very quickly. So, for example, the brotherly relationships, the frustration, the family relationship he's got with his dad, and all that kind of stuff is done very, very subtly because they want to get to that next cutscene.
So
where
subtle
Donkey
that
Kong-
most people didn't even see it.
No, but I say subtle. Subtle makes it sound good. It doesn't. Basically, they rush through those quite emotional points to get to the cool bit where they drive the carts over Rainbow Road, or the bit where they Donkey Kong has the fight. You're talking to the wrong person. I know the Mario movie. I could probably quote the film from start to
I've
finish.
seen it. I've seen it loads of times, but
so it's
nothing
asking me what the
happens.
plot is. I know, but
Nothing
but,
happens
like,
in Finding Nemo either. Like fucking.
They find
he
Nemo!
misses-
That's what happens!
But that's it. But that's the plot. That's the plot of Finding Nemo. Oh, where's my kid? There it is.
I've not seen Finding Nemo in like 15
look,
years, man, but
Andy.
straight off the bat, the main character in that, right, has a crisis of confidence. Like,
Yeah.
doesn't like leaving home.
What?
And both of those main characters grow as the plot goes on and transform. That's
Mario
called a
literally
story.
grows when he eats a mushroom.
So Mario's like the relationship with the workers, the fact that he set up his own bit, all that kind of stuff. The dad not respecting him at the beginning because of his career, and then he comes back. But it's all done quite rushed, which is I think ruins it a little bit, which is the reason why it's not a top tier movie. But The bit at the
Just
end,
under
you know,
top tier.
when Luigi,
just under 9 out of 10.
Luigi's arc, where he's super, you know, it's just the arc he is in the games, right, where he's super scared of everything, and at the very last minute rushes in with the at the end of the movie with the drain. He
says, "On your right,"
blocks Bowser's flames, and then Mario, and then Matt together, and then that bit when the superstar music hits. It's
Pring goes like
great movie.
that.
I've watched it. Oddly,
I get. People could break it down and say, "Oh well, it doesn't make proper use of Eisenstein's theory of montage." As long as it's like entertaining.
But you're cheapening it massively. That it's got to be like, you know, high level art. It doesn't. It just needs to be competently made. I don't think it's a great movie.
I continue to enjoy it after numerous.
I've watched it many times. I still enjoy it.
And again, this will be a segue for you. I take one thing that bugs me a little bit, and this is, I think, probably indicative of the world we live in now, with kind of like the erosion of criticism and journalism and stuff like that, is that I think particularly with Nintendo, they now can put out pretty mediocre stuff, and everyone says it's amazing.
Nobody said nobody.
I like what I like.
I had a conversation with another journalist recently. I'm not talking about you. I had a conversation with another journalist recently, and he noted this, and it was like, I agree, because I played Metroid Prime recently. The preview will be on the site by the time this goes out, and I really, really was massively disappointed. And another journalist said to me, I'm a little bit concerned because the last Mario Kart game was underwhelming, the last Zelda game was underwhelming. And then now you've got this, and I kind of think, you know, they are kind of moving to younger teams. The Famicom guys, I mean, I know they're well gone, but even the guys after the Famicom guys are retiring. And I do look at some of this stuff now, is that when I give it like a game that's great, like, you know, like a great game, but it's not perfect, I give it like a 4 or a 3 even. It seems that everyone else is like, oh my God, it's a masterpiece. This is like one of the great, like Donkey Kong Bonanza. I'll give you it's probably an example. I was very surprised that I was in the minority for that. And there's other press who are like similar to me, who are similar age group, who've been around that long, and they're like, yeah, it's really great. However, it's you know, it's flawed for this reasons. And I was very surprised to see it like the perfect scores. You know, that this is amazing. So that's a little bit where that frustration comes from for me, is that I'm picking on you a little bit.
Yeah, nobody on this podcast said the Mario movie is amazing.
Because then what happens is, right, if they go and make an amazing sequel that is amazing, you've got to give it 15 out of 10.
Yeah,
because you've just said that this one
I remember
is like
the reviews. The
just
Mario
below
movie,
perfect.
The Mario movie was very 3 stars, I think, if I remember correctly. But regardless, let's quickly go back to Galaxy, which is
but this is the sad thing, is that you can love a 3-star, a 3 out of 5 star game or movie. Like that's it. I just I don't
like Breath of
Mario
the Wild?
Galaxy.
Grumpy old man.
Mario Galaxy, I watched the trailer a lot. It's to the point where, you know what, it's a very good trailer. It's very good. The music's
not
great.
Top tier, but it's just underneath.
No, I think it's top tier.
It's not there with the Sin City trailer. The Sin City trailer's up there in Geely's
as a trailer.
Here.
But what was really magical for me is my son loves Rosalina. Like, absolutely adores the character of Rosalina. And I'm not quite sure why. He never played Galaxy. But he adores Rosalina. He's only 5. Galaxy was never a thing. You know, he's only 5. Galaxy wasn't a thing for him. He's played Odyssey. But he plays Rosalina in Mario Kart World, which he also loves. He loves Rosalina. He's got Rosalina cars. He dressed up as Rosalina on Halloween. Nice. Right?
Were
he
you
loves
Luma?
Rosalina. So he's watching this... yeah, it'll be great. So we watched the trailer, and I knew Rosalina was coming. So he came home and said, "I've got something to show you." I showed it to you, and he got to the bit where Bowser Jr. crops up, and he goes to look away when the logo appears. No, Teddy, keep watching. And the look on his face when Rosalina opened the door, I wish I'd filmed it. It was just, you know, his face glowed like it was the best thing ever, and she was super cool, and she smashed the thing down.
And I guess that's the gist.
And I got that childhood thrill from a trailer I've not had, I think, since the.
That's the gist of it, and this is what anyone working in Nintendo's marketing department listening to this would say, is that this stuff isn't for me. You know, it's for them. I do think, again, some of that can be weaponized, and it's why Star Wars has been shit for ages, right? It's the stick they beat you with. Is that, well, it's shit because it's for kids.
Don't talk shit about Dave Filoni, Andy.
Things aimed at all audiences have to be somehow dumbed down. But it is true. Like the reason I play so much Nintendo is because I can play with my kids. I did find it was interesting. I was actually going to bring it up to you because I'm very wary of doing anything anecdotal, because it usually doesn't mean anything, right? On the Brawn, like it's like, well, I really like PC, so that means that it'll be a big hit. It doesn't, right? But my two daughters absolutely love Mario. They love the Mario movie, and I was actually quite surprised. I geared it up, I got the trailer on. I was like, come on, sit down, girls, we're going to watch it, and they weren't even paying attention by the end. And I was very surprised.
Have they moved on to K-pop Demon Hunters? Is Mario?
But I guess they love that. I mean, they're 8 and 9 now, so they've just started being fucking compelled to chase anyone who's got an iPad and Demon Hunters. So they're already, I can see, in the process of having their heads rewired to this trailer's longer than 30 seconds. So, and I've had to listen to someone speak some dialogue. It's just the world we live in, right?
I hope every time they watch the Mario movie, you sit them down and explain to them how you think it's utter shit.
That is utter shit. We need to take a
break.
break.
Someone says it's like Schindler's List.
We need to take a break.
Listen, kids. If Schindler's List's up,
I'm going to fade them down. I'm going to fade them down. When we come back, we'll talk about Pokemon, and we'll talk about...
Fade me down?
We'll talk about Pokemon.
Every time I watch a film with my daughter, we've got a list on my wall with Schindler's List and Geely on it, and the kid has to put on the wall where she thinks the film sits.
More on Schindler's List after this. And we are back. Stuff all your Mario. It's time for the Pokemon Corner. They made 2 weird announcements this week. Pokepark Kanto is opening in February as part of Japan's Yomiuri Land in Tokyo. The Pokemon Company provided the following description. Play with lots of Pokemon in Pokemon Forest. Discover exclusive merchandise at the Pokemon Trainers Market. Take in a show at the gym or go wild in the battle court. It looks like my idea of heaven, but it also looks like it will be tourist hell. Andy, as our resident Japan expert, what did you see any of this? It looks like to me it'll be like a half-day attraction rather than a full-on theme park.
I agree. It looks like it will be a lot smaller scale than people think.
Yes, definitely.
I mean, the premise is exciting, a Pokemon, theme park attraction, but it's not really that, is it? Looks like it's a shop.
Yeah, it's like a
couple of shops and a snack bar.
It looks like it's built like a big corridor. Like you'll go into the section in Yomiuri Land, you'll go through the forest and you'll see all the statues and all the Pokemon and their habitat. That will take you into the shop, which then takes you into the gym, and then you're back out into the actual theme park. It's not for people to.
It looks like a fairy trail.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea. It's not like.
And it's also in the middle of nowhere, right? From what I remember, they're taking complete liberty, saying this is Tokyo. This is the Gatwick Airport of Tokyo, right? And my concern would be for anyone who's excited to go there is you're going to be queuing behind 5 million Americans with selfie sticks, because it feels like these days 90% of anyone at any time in Japan is a 25-year-old with a Gengar tattoo.
Oh yeah, from the Gengar Yakuza. This is like, it's so obvious to me that this is a trial run for an actual park, which is mad that they would even need it because it's the biggest franchise in the history of humankind. So they could just go, yeah, let's do it. But yeah, it's a weird one. They had another Poke Park back in the day, just before the big kind of crash in popularity for Pokemon. That was like a traveling amusement park, and this seems similar in the sense that there's no real rides. There's like a Pikachu carousel and like other bits and pieces, but it's all about the merch. They're doing their version of Disney ears, but it's like Pikachu ears or like the Evolution ears and stuff like that. So it's an absolute money printing machine. I will obviously go to it, but I don't think it's something that one would like plan a holiday around or anything like that. It's just something you would do if you were there, kind of thing. Yeah, is an interesting one. Chris Dring, last time you were on this podcast, you promised me you would have completed ZA by now. So how's that going?
Yeah, I'm sorry. The weekend got away with me. Pokemon ZA is ZA.
I was watching the Super Mario Brothers movie trailer.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not. I think the exact number will be over 100 times I watched that trailer since it came out. Not willingly, but it's a good trailer. I haven't. I'm starting this weekend.
It's all right.
So ZA is. I'm really looking forward to it. I need to Metroid's out soon. I've heard it's amazing.
Yeah,
Andy Robinson.
more on that later. I'll tell you something. Detective Pikachu, better film than the Super Mario Brothers movie by a country mile. Also quite a pish film, but a better pish film than Super Mario.
I thought that's good.
Okay,
It's good, but
The trailer was great.
I mean, Mewtwo kills Rita Ora in that film, so what else could you possibly want?
God rest him.
Yeah, God rest him.
Obviously, we're talking about the bit where Pikachu sort of drunkenly sings the Pokemon theme song over the bridge. This is a highlight of the video game movie.
I didn't like that, and here's why. It breaks canon. By Pikachu singing that, it implies that the Pokemon anime exists in the Pokemon universe, and there's been no prior setup
I
of
only
that.
suggest the song.
That was the
exists.
problem.
I only suggest the song exists in the universe. It could do.
There was a lot, and also there was another problem with that film where they clearly made beautiful models of about 10 Pokemon, so it was always the same Pokemon in like every single scene. But I wish they would do another one of those devoid of
It's just
Ryan
weird. I mean, I
Reynolds.
don't want to be unfair and say they haven't got ambition, because that's probably the wrong word. But they do keep doing this, don't
They're
they?
very
Like, I mean, that
conservative.
film, did it make $1 billion? Yeah, they're conservative. That's it. Didn't that film make $1 billion?
No.
And then
it was the biggest
that's like
one
20
before
it was-
Sonic happened.
It was the biggest game movie before this all really took off. And there's just no indication whatsoever they have any intention of following that up. Same with the theme parks, same with the shops outside, same with them, spending 20 million budget on games that sell 30 million copies.
Yeah.
I actually agree with you on this. I always feel the Pokemon is. It's not that they need to spend the money. I get it. You know, if you want to have a high margin, that's brilliant. But this is a franchise that is super popular. The gameplay of these games are often very good, but you could just a bit more care and attention, a little bit more money spent on it. You know, a bit of extra resources, a bit of extra time would go a long way critically. And then you go to why isn't there a Pokemon theme park or just world? Or it's all very. They could go further. You look at what Nintendo do by contrast, and they are, very deeply connected companies. Nintendo do go to town on this stuff. They do, whether or not you're happy with the quality or not. They do work very hard at making sure the quality is very good. They're very efficient with their hardware.
You're guaranteed with anything Nintendo, the quality will be high, right?
Yeah.
They
The
have
costume
Miyamoto
will
involved
be
in the theme parks, involved in the movies.
Yeah, they made the theme
Their
parks,
games
right?
come out when they're done. Like, they're going to play well, they're going to look well, they're going to sound well. But even that Pokopia game this week, which I think looks amazing, and my kids are super excited for. Even like it was a very slow trailer at the start, right?
Yeah.
It looks like a Curry Tecmo game, doesn't it? It looks like it doesn't. I worked with artists who would be looking at that going, I want to put this, shader on it or this effect, and the scene needs more depth. But the Pokemon Company would look at it and be like, good enough.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that a game like Power World can come out, right? And I know that unless I'm not getting involved in that conversation, that is actually made by an indie, right? And in some ways it looks better, and things around it is stronger than what Pokemon do. I don't. I think a bit of treating Pokemon like the AAA franchise it is might go amiss. But hey, I guess if your money's coming in on the the spend that you're putting on it already, I guess there's little impetus to keep going and do more.
There's a little village in Japan called Osaka.
I've heard of it.
And in there, they have a little theme park, which I believe is known as Universal Studios.
Doki Panic.
And listen, what a game. And right in the corner of Universal Studios, there was a Spider-Man 4D ride which closed down a year or bit ago. In that corner, I'm looking at the map right now, there is a massive corner of that theme park that is not used for anything just now, other than the parade going past it every now and then. Get Pokemon in that, because they dabble with it. Pikachu walks down,
Haven't they said
walks
they're
down
going
the
to do
parade.
something? I
There've
don't
been
think they were
rumours about it,
specific.
and
I'm sure
not sure
they
it's been
made some
confirmed,
broad announcement. It's like when
every
they do
time-
like a memorandum of understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
because
something like that.
when you see that parade, everyone
it's all
representing all the
Pokemon, yeah.
worlds comes, but there's Pikachu there. Pikachu's nowhere. There's wee stalls sometimes selling a cake with Bulbasaur's arse on it every now and then. They're dabbling with Pokemon. Although obviously they've got a relationship with Nintendo, but there's obviously a relationship with the Pokemon company there as well. Get Pokemon World in Universal Studios Japan.
I think if Nintendo was to ever take over Pokemon fully, all of these things would happen. They wouldn't be putting out games that played like Scarlet and Violet. They wouldn't allow that to happen. and we'd be seeing a lot bigger quality from Pokemon. I'm not saying Pokemon's like shoddy. I don't want to overstretch what I'm saying, but I just think there's a bit more they can do.
I don't think anyone can argue that they don't have lower standards than a Nintendo.
Yeah. Still make better games than them though. Anyway, speaking of
throwing bombs,
my podcast, I can say what I want. I'll be uncensored in this podcast. Speaking of Nintendo, it's time for the moment of the podcast that the world has been waiting for. Andy Robinson, last week you teased tantalizingly that you had played Metroid.
Tease is a strong word.
You said as much as you were allowed to say.
I'm pretty sure I read it from a Word doc.
You read from an email.
It was quite a tease, that Word doc.
Yeah, it was
what a tease.
Tantalizing. Tell us all you can so far about what you played of Metroid.
So it's a shame. It's a shame we can't. Alex isn't on here because he is. We are aligned. I went to play Metroid Prime 4 last week. I'm a big Metroid fan. I've got like a big Samus on my desk, right? As I look, one of my favorite game series. It's a niche series, right? Especially for Nintendo. But it's got like super passionate fans, and it's got a clear identity, and it's something different from Mario and Zelda and Nintendo's other franchises, right? It has kind of an atmosphere of isolation. It's about exploration. It's about kind of empowering players through kind of unlockables and stuff like that. It's a very clear DNA, right? To me, these things are as much intertwined with Metroid as jumping is with Mario. Alex played Metroid first. There was a morning session and an afternoon session, and he warned me. He was like, "Oh God, there are moments where he said there was a moment where I said, "Wow," like in a negative way. My jaw was ajar at moments playing this game. There's footage on the site and my preview, and I was disappointed in the ways that a super fan will be disappointed. I was disappointed in the ways that a fan might be disappointed when Sega gave Shadow the Hedgehog a gun, or when they turned Resident Evil briefly into a corridor, cover shooter. What I saw and what I played so far, it just doesn't feel like a Metroid game at all. For a start, there's you've got in the first hour of the game, you have this slapstick, wisecrack dropping companion, who is all of the worst NPCs from every like PS3 era Uncharted knockoff by Activision. It's the writing is horrible. I wanted to rip my face off at points of this game, right? Like,
there's your clip.
It's everything that's not Metroid, right? For the remainder of this hour, this guy is like, strips away any remaining atmosphere and any, kind of, feeling a desire to explore by yourself by dropping hints. Oh, Samus, have you looked over there? Have you considered looking at that? Oh, wow, that was a big monster, wasn't it? Oh, you almost took my face off. And oh my God. Right. So to be clear, it's I'm confident it will be a good game in the same way that, the Super Mario Brothers movie is a good movie.
Don't take his name out.
It looks amazing. Like, it's beautiful. The art direction is beautiful. It's what you expect from retro and you expect from this series. There are some interesting abilities in there. The boss fight was great. The bosses are always well thought out and carefully planned in the Metroid series, and the one I did was no different. There's the idea is she's got these new psychic abilities, and one of the ones I got to try is you can control her her power shot. Control it like in kind of 3D space to hit multiple objects at once. If you have to hit three, bit like there's an item in Zelda that does that, isn't there? Like the beetle that you could control. Do you remember that? Is that you have to hit multiple switches at once. So it's basically that. However, the tonally it was just so jarring for me. So jarring. It feels like a licensed, like Iron Man or Marvel game from 2 console generations ago. There's every chance that this is a misdirection. First impressions can be deceptive, as they say, right? But I personally don't see them investing assets and time into making NPCs that you have to escort, etc., and then not using that again. It would be a big turn, right? I didn't even mention that. Yeah, like this NPC follows you around for a portion. You've got to defend the NPC and waves of enemies, and there's nothing wrong with trying something new, right? And some of Nintendo's greatest games have come from that, like Breath of the Wild or Super Mario Galaxy, when they've kind of decided to disrupt a formula. The problem is the type of games that Metroid Prime 4 seems to be trying to be are really mediocre shooters from a couple of years ago, and that's not what Metroid is to me.
That sounds really disappointing. I've always believed Metroid could be a bigger franchise, even though it never sells very much. I've always felt like, Metroid Prime 1, which was, everyone called the Citizen Kane of games, or whatever, was launched on a console nobody bought.
Schindler's List.
Schindler's List of games was on a console nobody bought, and Metroid Prime sort of therefore never really reached higher levels on this. This is on this is on the best-selling games console of all time, basically. And it's on its sequel console across both consoles. We're talking the most successful games machine of all time. And I looked at this and thought, I'll be really interested to see if Nintendo go for it, because they can do that. They went for it with Luigi's Mansion. They've gone for it before, where they've just gone Fire Emblem, where they've gone, we're going to put our marketing guns on this, and we're going to try and make this.
Pikmin's the same size franchise, and it's everywhere.
Pikmin's bigger now, right? And that's so I sit there and go, if Nintendo want to, they can make this special. And when Metroid Prime was announced, I was just waiting for them to go hard with it, and they haven't. Right, they've gone harder with Kirby's Air Riders. That was the biggest warning for me, that maybe they don't believe in it, or maybe the game just isn't good enough.
But that's the biggest disappointment for me, right? And Nintendo clearly understand everything that I just said, like the reason that fans love this franchise, because they've just released Metroid Dread, which is one of probably my top 3 or 4 Metroid games ever. It's fantastic, right? It absolutely nails what that series is.
Top 2 for
me. But if they're not going to go hard and try and make this a thing, then why are they seemingly dumbing it down to the worst of the Marvel tribe in a way that seemingly seems a bit cynical to me? I've got to stress, I've played an hour of this game, but it's also on top of the sentiment's been kind of declining a little bit anyway among fans around this game, right? I think they put out a bunch of trailers that weren't particularly strong. Their big reveal was like a motorbike.
Yeah.
That you could drive around an empty desert.
How was that?
I didn't get to try this. I mean, it's like I was massively disappointed with this, and I haven't even got to the motorbike. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm really, really wrong.
Well, this is it. I have to imagine Metroid Dread is made by Mercury Steam. It's a relatively small studio. They made that game in it wasn't too long. The development process wasn't too long on it. So I have to imagine the cost of Metroid Dread was a lot smaller. So Nintendo do niche things like that. Metroid Prime Beyond, obviously, it got cancelled, restarted in development a long time. Retro isn't a tiny studio, so I have to imagine there's a big cost on this, which is probably the reason why they tried to go. I don't know. I'm guessing maybe they try to go broader, because the truth is they don't need to go broader. We've seen with From Software's games, we've seen with Clair Obscur, we've seen with Hollow Knight, which is a Metroidvania, of course, that you can do something really hardcore, and if you can just market it right and use the audience and sort of make a big buzz around it, you can turn what you would think would normally be a 2-3 million seller into 5, 10, 15 million sales. I believe Nintendo could have done that. By the sounds of it, they've gone down the route of trying to dumb it down.
It's just the sad thing is for me, and again, this really is a little nerdy meltdown, isn't it? Because ultimately to them it is niche, and it doesn't really matter that I don't like the funny slapstick character they've put in. But if you stripped that away, obviously I thought about this, but was this my biggest problem? But I think even if you strip that away, it just was quite, it looks beautiful and it plays well, but it's quite ordinary. Like, I mean, obviously I'm questioning myself. Am I being unfair? And, I just thought it was quite, like, because it's the first hour of the game, and it's like, you say to yourself, look, of course it's like tutorials, they're trying to introduce people. But then I think back to the opening section of the original from like 25, 30 years ago, right? and it grips you completely, right? What is this
yeah.
space station? What is inside? What happened? Like you're compelled to explore and learn more, and it teaches you all the mechanics elegantly, right? Rather than, hey, Samus, ever seen that rocket over there? You should try shooting.
I'm hoping Samus gets left alone. The whole point of that game is, I mean, I'm one of those people that know you have to change things. Like the new Donkey Kong game, Bonanza, which I know Andy used for.
Oh no, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. It's just I don't think it's 10 out of 10.
Yeah, but for me, Bonanza is a great example of that game. Feels like Donkey Kong, sounds like Donkey Kong. Is very true to Donkey Kong, but the core gameplay mechanic is new, at least new in the genre that it's in.
100%. That's not my issue with Donkey Kong. I think they nail that stuff.
Yeah. So with Metroid. You know, I'm all. It doesn't need to be Metroid Prime 4. Doesn't need to be exactly the same as Metroid Prime 1. I want them to do new things. Heck, I wouldn't be if the motorbike was cool. I wouldn't mind that. But I think it has to feel and be still true to the DNA. I had Reggie on the Game Business Show earlier in the week, and he talked about from a business point of view. Didn't make it into my newsletter, but it's in the podcast. He talks about from a business point of view, stay true to who you are, and then use that DNA to expand out. And I think my concern about what you're saying is that it sounds like they've actually messed with the Metroid DNA, which is.
And it's interesting that you mentioned Reggie, because it almost like it really I felt like it really supported my feelings on this. Doing our Patreon podcast this week, where we watched the 2010 Nintendo press conference. They announced Other M there, which is another Metroid game I really dislike for the same reasons, right? That they really like toyed with a DNA and tried to make it something it wasn't. It very much is the black sheep of the series. But Reggie even was talking on stage about what makes Metroid, you know, and he said like exploration and the atmosphere of isolation. He talked about it. It's just, this really confuses me if this is the direction they've taken it. Because if you're going to make a Metroid game and do something different, and you look at what Nintendo has done with Zelda, you look at what they've done with Donkey Kong, you do that with Metroid. You drop Samus on a strange planet on her own and let players explore at their own pace. You know, make it less linear than it's ever been before. You know, Metroidvanias are about, you know, backtracking and stuff, but it's a very linear path. What if you made it completely open? What if you took that idea that Retro had that was scrapped, where you could call your spaceship and go on bounties, you know, take on actual bounty hunting missions and do something completely new like that that's also true to what Metroid is. So don't stick some like talky characters in there that are really poorly written, by the way. Those slapstick can be done well. It's just it's excruciating. So for you, the guy talks about like being in the office next to Phil, and at least I'm not in the office. And oh my god,
that's good, Patter.
I love Phil. So for you, like, would salvaging the game be like, you say you've played about an hour? Like, if in the next half an hour Ridley comes down and kills this guy, and then suddenly Samus is on her own, and then she's like, oh shit, and then
got some like a fish.
Actually starts.
I mean, you know me. You've reviewed, you know, a million games. It's a point off the score already, right? It's going to be true because you do your uppers and downers and stuff. You've got it in your head. Right? You're already head, despite the review is already in your head. Like, despite a you know, disappointing opening hour. You know, the game's great. That's what it would be. Right? Yeah. You have to. Would it be able to salvage? I just personally don't see them, because you rescue this NPC, right? And he has a load of cutscenes, and he tells you where to go, and then he's like, it's a UI item. He's on the UI. Like, I think his name's Miles. I think like, he's on the UI, and then he engages with the enemies. He shoots them, and you know, from behind a rock, takes cover. That's a lot of work for an hour of the game. I don't see them doing that for you. This is not how you create games, right? You design systems even if it's just a really elaborate tutorial to kind of ease newcomers into it, where you're getting help with the combat. Even if it is, it's a very shit tutorial. It's not a good start. I didn't need someone telling me like, "Hey, Samus, over there," like on the original. Have you considered shooting that thing?
Hey, yo, Samus, you gotta shoot Ridley. He's a big monster.
Again, but then you come back round. Like, it's like, but who is this game for? So are you going to go hard on this and push it for, or are you not? And they're not. So.
Yeah, I think that probably.
I guarantee the talk of the theme of this whole podcast. I guarantee that there will be a whole ton of people saying it's the great. It is so good, elsewhere on the games media if you would like to partake
on the games
on
business
that point of view.
Dringo's going to give
The
it a
games
preemptive
businesses.
5-star. It's not a top tier game, just underneath. Well, this has been
It's 75% to Schindler's List.
yeah. I actually prepared a little quiz for the end of the podcast for you. What Rotten Tomatoes score does Schindler's List have? Everyone gets one guess. Scullion,
98.
Andy,
I don't really know Rotten Tomatoes. Isn't it just like fresh or not fresh?
no, it's got a percentage.
Yeah, but they do a percentage based on how many are fresh versus not fresh.
It's going to be a complete guess. I'd say 90.
Dringo,
The thing is, I think I might know this. That at one point, Paddington 2 had a higher,
much better
rating
film.
than this. So I think it's probably 98% or 99%. Something like that. It's a 98. I'll go with what Chris said.
Okay, both of you get a point. It's 98%. For the record, Paddington 2 is a much better film. Second,
What is Paddington 2's Rotten Tomatoes?
it was like 90. It was 99 for the longest time, as it should be. The Super Mario Brothers movie. What Rotten Tomatoes score does it have, Scullion?
Critics are fans. 'Cause it's very
Critics, I don't
different.
give a shit what fans think about something. Come on now.
Oh, God forbid. The critics are like, again, this is the snobbery. The
Mario
critics
fans are
like
brain
60-something.
dead. Have you listened to this podcast? What's the percentage?
The critics are like 62 or something.
Okay, Andy, critical consensus for Super Mario Brothers movie.
45.
Dringo,
I think what Chris said earlier was about 60% to Schindler's List. I think it's probably right. So I think it's probably, what's 60% of 98?
oh for fuck, here we
59?
go.
59, 60.
Dringo gets a point. It's 59 on Rotten Tomatoes. So it's 2-1 to Dringo. And finally, Rotten Tomatoes score of Gigli. What do we think?
Oh, God.
Of what?
Gigli.
Gigli, Ben Affleck.
It's written as
Jennifer
Giggly.
Lopez. One of the worst movies ever made. I'll go say
okay.
14.
Andy,
30.
Dringo.
I'll be lower than those. I don't know. 0.
Dringo gets a point. It's 6. So
What?
Dringo wins this impromptu game. I hope you all played along with that and really enjoyed it. If anything, I think this gives credence to the idea that we need a video game exclusive movie podcast that we put up on Patreon and just scream at each other the entire time. I'm sure people would love that. Dringo, no one that's listened to this podcast doesn't know these details already, but where can they find you?
Thegamebusiness.com or on YouTube. My YouTube's really blown up the last. I say blown
Oh,
up
here we
by,
go.
By game business standards. It's
It'd be all
What's your
those,
YouTube
all those
again? Is it
unboxing videos. Mate.
PewDiePie.
it's it's the game business.
The game's a business.
I did a talk this week at Yuki's. Yuki had me on as a panel, and they put my big picture on the thing, and it said Christopher Dring, the games business.
Yeah.
That's Jordan.
Did he have the picture of you with a can?
Andy, you on the Chris Drink this weekend? What's the plans?
I don't know. Mercifully, there's no football this weekend, is there? I don't know. I'll probably be working.
The international break, the worst time of the year. It's so boring. It's unbelievable.
Nobody wants international break.
Nobody wants it. This is cancel international football.
Yeah. I mean, Scotland fans are some of the most annoying in the world, so I really wouldn't be against that.
Oh, we've got English fans.
Yeah,
come on.
you've got like reformed yobos, but we've got people that are like, oh, we're so bloody Scottish, oh, hod your weast, oh, you pure bampots. Fucking shut up, man. Anyway, Chris Scullion, what are you doing this weekend?
Book. And obviously, also, I think Saturday night, it's been a while, I might watch Schindler's List, and then Sunday night, I might watch Gigli.
Yeah, a wee double feature.
Yeah.
If you play the soundtrack to Super Mario Brothers movie backwards over Schindler's List, it all lines up. It's quite amazing. Someone in the Discord make a Bowser's List Photoshop, please.
Please don't.
Too soon. Too soon. It's only been 100 years. Anyway, I've got 2 nights out this weekend, which is honestly I'm terrified of. By Sunday, I'll be absolutely burst out my hoop, but alas, if you're on those nights out, come up and speak to me. I'm unlike Chris Dring, I'm very approachable and love the fans. So
yeah, don't talk to me.
yeah, we'll see you out there. If you've enjoyed this podcast, patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle is your best way to support us and get more podcasts, videos, and ad-free browsing. If you're reading Andy's Metroid preview later through floods of tears and you think there's too many ads on this website, patreon.com/videogames chronicle. Until next time, say goodbye, Scullion.
Goodbye, Scullion.
Say goodbye, Andy.
Goodbye.
Say goodbye, Dringo.
Bye-bye.
Thank you to Universal Pictures for sponsoring this episode, and we'll see you next time.